anyway, just to let you know, I've been one of your followers and admirers for many years.
Oh, thanks.
I also met Dr. Jensen, and oh, by the way, Doug Diamond, my engineer, is on our call too, so he wanted to meet you.
Hey,
there.
Doug Diamond.
Hi there. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Doug.
Yeah.
So
I'm Doug Diamond.
Thanks. I had nothing to do with it.
He won't admit it anyway.
Yes.
So anyway, I went down and visited Dr. Jensen in the 60s at Escondido, and met Ann Wigmore in a few years after that in Chico, where I was a university student. And I was also at school at the university in California at Santa Cruz, where I got started with Alan Chadwick and got into all of the organic gardening stuff, and was a regular university student then, but got exposed to somebody who just stood there with their eyes closed and got in touch with everything and then told you everything to do for the day, and we had no idea what was going on. and got in, I started because I wanted to just make this with you, because once we start our show part, it's going to be nothing about me. It's all to showcase what you're doing. But I just wanted to let you know where I'm coming from, Kyle.
Yeah, shoot,
if that's okay. And they said,
How old are you?
I'm 68 now.
Oh, same age as I am.
Yeah, pretty close, huh?
Yeah, pretty close.
And I got started, as most of us do, because of serious health problems in the mid-'60s. And that's when they were doing the toxic chemicals they call medicine, I think. That's the word they use. And
my God, how true that is.
Right, and surgery, and they say, well, once the toxic chemicals hurt you too much, then it's okay, because they can always start cutting out your organs, and then it's really going to be great. And so they started doing that to me, and I escaped.
Hey, really?
And I dumped the whole system then, and I started investigating. That's when I went to see Jensen and these other people and started studying and got involved. I had some memory from previous lives a little bit, and I was exposed to a group that was studying Meher Baba stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I was at Santa Cruz, and then got involved with Kirpal Singh in 70, and went to India a few times, and involved in that whole thing. And I was a follower of
the Ramaswamy, huh?
Yeah, the whole Sant Mat thing. And for me, it turned out it had good aspects, but overall it had some really destructive parts too, because they were teaching that you're worthless without the master, and that, it was almost like Catholicism in the East. Yeah. And that, whatever to do, don't think about it, don't judge it, obey immediately. And so I tried to obey immediately for 12 years and finally realized that it was really not being good for me. And I escaped from that too. But I was really involved in the whole spiritual thing and remain that way. It's my whole focus. And one of my memories has to do with the end of the Essene period, when I remember working when Jesus was there and the kind of thing that he was doing. And it nothing like, what made it into the official religious structure and everything, but it was really incredible. And so I maintain those connections, and I just feel like I'm here briefly for doing a few things and hopefully making a decent contribution. But I've learned from making so many mistakes as long as I could, as horrible as I possibly could, and finally having to admit, well, that's not really working too well, and trying something different. So I spent a long time really sorry for the mess that I made.
That's creation, though, Richard. That's creation, and you can't.
Yeah.
This is just the Peyton place, if you will. The days of our lives. I wouldn't give it too much credence.
Yeah, I think they need organ music, though, right?
I think they did. Matter of fact, one of my good groups.
Yeah. So one of the things I have to confess, though, I know enough about you. I don't think you'll excommunicate me or anything right away. But even though I have been on 100% raw food for many years, and remain that way, but I am an outcast in the vegan world because I'm making use of a little bit of raw milk. And it was the only way that I could find, because I do experiments. And once I realized what cooked food was feeling like, and then it was making me kind of heavy and sleepy and out of it, and I didn't like it, It was like, it was fun to eat, but right after I felt something heavy and downward pull. And so I said, I'm not going back to that. And it was really difficult to experiment outside veganism because I had taken that like a religion again. And all these people were going to hate me for it, which is fine. But I did it, and I thought, wait a minute, I don't think this is necessarily lactose intolerance. I think the gut bacteria has to be reestablished, and what's going to reestablish it is in the milk. And it can't be too bad because the whole mammalian kingdom is on a 100% milk diet, raw organic milk. And I waited about 3 months. All the symptoms of intolerance were gone. I regained all my muscle mass, stability psychologically, and immunity and everything, and I was fine after that. No more problems. And my system stays really clean. I mean, even if I couldn't wash it for 2 months, it would be fresh and clean. It's just good all the time. And I don't burn in the sun or anything. It's been really interesting. But my main interest, ulterior motive, is if I can give information to individuals that will help them have less suffering and have a better life, that's great. But my deeper motive is I spent about 20 years doing an in-depth investigation of the power structure that's running the world and America and what they're doing and why and how. And I know where they're going. And I'd like to contribute to averting that future. And my analysis is that based on what I see, they're in the middle of a ceremonial sacrifice of the entire biosphere, all of it. Not just population reduction, but 100%. Because the things they're doing are irrevocable.
Yeah.
To them, anyway.
I don't, I look at things a little differently when I look at creation like this. I mean, I'm familiar with the Club of Rome, the Trilateral, the World Bank, and the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all those people, the Warburgs, I'm familiar with all those. And, of course, we also have all the different groups that are visiting the planet now. Walk-ins are higher than they've ever been on the planet. So a lot of things going on for sure. But I will tell you, the World Bank agenda will never happen. I can just tell you.
Yeah, well, that's fine with me.
There's two of us that are here to change that. And that won't happen. It's already in trouble.
Yeah. I love hearing stuff like that because I don't want it to. But I also want the things that are happening now that are negative to be reversed. Mm-hmm. I think we've been sprayed long enough. And I don't think, not just GMOs, but all of chemical agriculture is a total disaster. Not to mention drug medicine and stuff like that. And the media, entertainment, the whole thing,
Well, but I think we're demonstrating the simplicity of wellness and how it's attained. And around the world, we are having so many people overcome all their problems that I don't think it'll be long. You're seeing a huge renaissance of a changing of consciousness. And at the same time, I'm intertwining or wrapping in these videos spirituality, how to have consciousness, not to have thought, and developing the ability to look and see in life what life is about. And of course, in that process, you're going to work to get out of this realm. This is just the lowest chemical. I mean, it's a chemical realm. It's I don't know. I don't put a lot to this realm. I mean, it's where you come and get your experiences, but you're not here long. 60, 70, 80 years isn't long.
Yeah, it's nothing.
But it is a rat hole, and it needs to be changed. And it is. We've opened up higher levels of awareness for the humans to be able to get into. And so we've got them by the thousands doing it, and I'm excited as all get out because I have the same goal you do. My goal isn't to change creation. My goal is to wake people up.
Well, that would change what's out here, right?
Oh, it will. But when you wake up more, you're not so much actively changing because you see how everything is interconnected and why they're doing the way they're doing it. Kind of wild sometimes when you see how God has set itself all up.
I I want to go into both the physical and spiritual levels in whatever way you want to talk about. This time's going to go by in a flash.
It will.
But I want to also mention to you that over a period of about 5 years, when I was asleep, of course I was awake during the day, more or less, but at night, I was shown details of a school that I'm supposed to build. And it's like a mini world with a complete working farm, all the old lost crafts, energy, technologies, the whole thing. And I have no idea how it's going to happen, but if a source of funding shows up that's safe and doesn't ruin it, then I'm going to go ahead and do that, maybe in Arizona.
I think that's a good model, and I think that is a model that this planet probably needs to see, because we have to start thinking about how do we grow our fruits and berries in wintertime, and of course a lot of berries do come in the wintertime, but the fruits and things like that, man's food sources, he's got to grow better food, there's no question, but he's got to be able to grow up in, there's a guy that has a greenhouse in Alaska growing orange trees.
Yeah, so, it's got to be greenhouses. The limiting factor is light in places like that.
It is. But you could still set it up. He has this greenhouse, and he is in Alaska, and I know there's eight months of darkness, but he pulls it off, and he gets oranges off his friggin' tree, and it's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah, wow. But this is the type of focus, just what you're talking about is what we need on the planet. But again, we're just bringing in the higher levels for these souls to wake up to and maybe move into this higher level of expressing the self. But this planet right now is a lot of levels here. You've got so low levels still on this planet, and then you've got the higher levels coming in. You have all these young souls coming in. They're not young souls, but they're young in body, and the bodies are all genetically bad. You wouldn't believe the children and the problems we're facing on the planet. Our clinic is overran with children and teenagers with tumors and everything. We just cleaned a 9-month-old eye cancer up. They wanted to remove her eye.
Well, listen, I don't want you to lose the train of thought, but I want to ask you one question. The things that we've said up to now since you first came on, I think all of that is suitable to share with everybody.
Well, sure.
That's what it feels like to me.